the true soldiers wasn't able to be in the program, but hey, those are the ones that do things because it's the betterment of our community. Brother Takuna, instrumental in like keeping us all focused when it was time for what was our strategies. Leaving from Lafayette, going to New Iberia, from New Iberia coming back to Lafayette, and then having to go back and do it again. Sister Jamila, God is new. Sister Margie, Brother Ernest. We had an actual crew that was there on behalf of the injustice with these no good dogs that we have been hearing about and that we lived and know about for quite some time. And it was just instrumental. This other young girl, her name is Denise. I don't know Denise.
Sister, how many years you've been speaking about what's been going on in Iberia Parish? I mean, even Sister Jamila could witness the years.
Well, even the same amount of years.
How many years you been hearing talking about things in Iberia Parish?
About a good 25 years.
And if you look at the documentary, they had the previous sheriff, Sid Hebert.
Right.
And he tried to lighten it up, and he is a person who's been in a lot of trouble too. So it's a long battle.
You're absolutely correct. It's called white superiority in its finest form. They take care of their own because Sid Hebert was the one that also had thrown tear gas for the Sugarcane Festival in 2004.
No, it was 2000, about 2005, 2006.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
And I had canisters of those hand grenades that he threw.
The New Iberia City Police was disbanded in 2003. See, that documentary just touched on the surface.
Correct.
It was a reason all of this. Louis Apple was in office. It was because they disbanded the New Iberia City Police in 2003. 2003. Sid Hebert took over, and he forced people to be dissatisfied again. And the dissatisfied, also we had dissatisfied officers and political people who wanted the New Iberia City Police back, but since the city didn't want to hear anything about bringing a police force back, they went and they supported a candidate like Louis Apple. So Louis Apple is the result of all of that back and forth.
Right, and remember, even before, before Louis Apple, we had Sid Hebert, and before Sid Hebert, we also had Rameau, little short representative that was targeted for having people in the gas in the chair.
The federal court had to come in and put Judge Polizzola. You remember?
Yeah.
Had to come in and put some type of sanction against the jail for that chair, that torture chair that he would put inmates who were mentally ill in it.
And these are
so
all.
It's a long history that this documentary just scratches to.
Right, and these are all white boys. These are all white boys. It's okay to call them white boys.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, these are all white crackers that done this. No matter how you look at it, and not one of them has gone to jail or anything. Now, if somebody wanted to like either share something individually, we're going to like take this particular footage and send it to the Discovery
Well, what this documentary does for people insights about the whole situation surrounding Victor White case. That's what they would like to know. What it does for people. What's your opinion of it? Whether you go ahead.
Well, I just want to share with everybody. Brother, you said it's only the surface. So you take the case of Anthony Wilson, 41-year-old black male, a year and a half ago, was stopped for a traffic ticket in Franklin, just down the street from New Iberia. He goes to the jail. They beat him up. In 3 days, he's dead. They beat him up. They bring him to the hospital. This hospital sends him back. They beat him up more. And when they bring him back, he's dead. People don't even know about it. And there's so many stories like this. Because some families just maintain that quietness, just trying to survive. Some of them are very, very scared to even open their mouth. Or like a phone call I had today from Livingston Parish, where actually a white friend of mine from Lafayette, who knows a white person in Livingston Parish called me up and lets me know that there's this family scared for their life in this little small town, Spring Hill. And all over Louisiana we have these situations. And the question is, what will it take for us to mobilize our people? Victor White III's death will not be in vain only if the people wake up and see how many Victor White III situations there are. And I want to say that Discovery ID wants to continue making their money because they'll check out the story of Anthony Wilson.
And what about the other guy that I went to see in Alexandria?
Monkey Police
Yes, tell me.
and the Boys Parish Police Department.
Tell me the story.
Do we have time?
Just a minute.
I'll just tell you that. A young man, he has surgery on his skull from LA. He moves home. The police arrest him. Supposedly some neighbor called about the domestic disturbance. But they bring him to jail and say, look, he needs a helmet because he has half of his skull removed from an accident, from some situation up in LA. And instead of allowing him to take his helmet with him, they put him in the jail. And by the time it's on Christmas Eve, I think it is, so in 2016, and by the time the judge can give him a bond, his parents go to pick him up and bonding him out, and he can't even walk or talk. They're dragging him out.
Yeah.
They hadn't even called the ambulance to
Two
check on him.
officers dragging him, two officers, I gotta say this, dragging him on each side, dragging him to his parents.
And the case, this is the case of Jesse Roy.
Jesse Roy's the name.
Jesse Roy?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
And this is in Bunkie.
That's in Bunkie? Okay. Now, they had one in Marksville that, he came home for a funeral. And, his brother had died, he came home for a funeral, he didn't have a vehicle, so he took the tractor and he went to Walmart, and this white lady called the police on him. And the police came, put him in jail, and next thing you know, he's dead.
He was a veteran.
Yeah.
His last name was Frank.
Yeah. He came
They
home
just
for his
had-
brother's funeral. And the next thing you know, he's dead.
Harmon Frankie.
Guillory, shot 4 times in the back.
Oh, yeah.
So I do want to suggest to everybody that on Thursday, as part of Imani Temple's 25th anniversary, on Thursday night at this court, what's the name of this place?
Esprit de Coeur.
Esprit de Coeur. The
409
Archbishop
Buzzard
Speaks
Street.
is a program. Archbishop Starling will be in town, and we'll be addressing societal issues of injustice. And it's a time for a community talk like this to continue the waking up of people. And we want to encourage all churches to be conscious of the condition of the situations that we live in, and that we take action. We don't have to sit here and be quiet about it.
That's right. Right.
Brother Chakuna? Brother Chakuna?
Well, as I viewed the film, the documentary, what came to mind was the fact that obviously nothing much has changed in New Iberia. So we still have a very volatile, very dangerous, and a very criminal kind of environment that exists in New Iberia. I'm hoping that this documentary, being that it covered so many households tonight, that it will help to revive or to give birth to new energy to come to New Iberia and to help arrest the situation that is out there. Acco is a modern day Klansman.
That's a good term.
He is not dressed in his white robe. He doesn't have to. Because he has set an environment in which he can do wrong at will. And the law, or the laws that supposed to protect everyone, obviously does not exist in New Iberia, as well as many of the other places in Louisiana. The question for me is, what is it or what will it take for the black community to be more creative in terms of seeking justice? I'm not advocating that we go out and all carry a brick, but I heard something last night from a black man who lost a son. And he said, it is the responsibility of a father to take the life of those who take the life of his children. Now, that's harsh language. But what is this atmosphere in New Iberia leading us to do? If there's no justice within the system, then there'll never be any real justice for us. And where there's an absence of justice, presence of peace is negated by natural law. And I think this documentary has shown to the world, right here in Louisiana, that you have a functional, organized, Klansman-like police force that is not even trying to hide.
And a lot of enablers, because he wouldn't be in power without his enablers.
And I think we also need to discuss something that we don't want to discuss, because it's an ugly thing to discuss. Those enablers that Brother Jay speaks of, many of them look like us. And if those that look like us stay in our community and is aiding the criminals of the black community, then how should we as a community deal with them? How should we as a community define our role and our responsibilities as mothers and fathers and as protectors of our children? This documentary is saying very clearly that there is no justice in New Iberia for black people. So what are black people to do? I think that's going to be the question. Question that is harsh, but the results are even going to be harsher. And it's not going to be by me or you or anybody in this room. It's going to be through natural consequences. Black folks are going to rise. And that anger is going to be at the foundation of our rise. And I don't think that injustice is going to be running rampant in our community without challenge.
Brother Wallace?
Well, look around the room. How many pastors do you have in here?
My pastor's here, baby.
I know that,
I had to say that.
but it's not just about him. As far as I'm concerned, he has the pulpit freedom. It's the rest of them not having the pulpit freedom to bring the community together. From right here where we stand, or sitting, I bet you could count 35 churches, and you're still gonna count when you get to 35 within a 3-mile radius. I know ain't none of them not even trying to bring the civil rights together, the movement together, or anything. I always see this man at all of them. And that's a problem. That's a problem within our community. And I think he might have the smallest church around, you know? And all the rest of them is large churches. And I know they don't have pulpit freedom. I know he do.
Ms. Selena, I'd like to ask you a question. What you think about the whole notion of having a documentary, using it to get justice? Is that just a, you know, because I mean, we'll have some more documentaries, we have some more problems like what happened with Victor White, but at the end of the day, it's just a longer documentary than the last one.
Yes, I think it's very important for us to continue to be able to do this. In so many cases out here, Victor White case sits out, this is what we were talking about today, that's what we saw today. But there's so many more cases out here just like that. We have them in Alexandria. I did the case with in Eros, Louisiana, about the small boy who drowned. They claimed he drowned. There's so many other stories that are out here for us to do. But it, like you said, we have to get people together. you have people who are in the position to make a change and they become the enabler. And because they become the enabler, it's hard for us to do our job. And I wanna say thank you guys for all, I'm sitting here in awe and knowing in this room that I'm sitting in here with all this power. It's nothing but power in here. And this is what we need to do this across the state, not just here, we need to do this across the state, to have this power in the room. This is wonderful. And we need to definitely take this back to Alexandria. Because you guys, we're dealing with the same thing you guys are dealing with. Same type of situations. So it's, and Victor White, as a matter of fact, Victor White is from Alexandria. So, his story is wonderful, it's out there. And I'm encouraging other people to do the same thing. I'm working on a case right now where a young lady, her son died, they said he committed suicide, similar to Victor White's case. And come to find out, the police chief of that area had something to do with it. But the problem is, he's black. So, you know, we don't talk about black on black crime. We just talk about black on white crime. So her story is not out there. So my job is to get her story out there and to make sure everybody
And that's where the media comes in.
And that's where the media comes in.
And controls our own media with coming in town.
Exactly, that's right. That's what we need to do. We need to be able to do that. Control our own media, because our stories are not being told, you guys. Our stories are not being told.
And in the documentary, the guy said it was the black media that they went to at
That's
first.
right, he sure
And
did.
I'm pretty sure the black media is the local media.
Yes.
You know.
You know, we're in crisis mode now, because even the President of the United States doesn't really care about black folks.
That's right.
Except himself.
But
Not
the
according-
sheriff sounds a
not
lot like
according
him.
to this minister they had on Facebook.
Exactly.
If you wanna listen to him, yeah.
That was,
That's what
that
I'm
was
talking about.
bought and paid for. Those
But-
guns.
But we're all in crisis mode, and I wanna say something about the ministers and the people who are not involved. I think we're in a social war, and we have been since we've been here, black folks have been here. And they're gonna be casualties in war.
There you go.
So we need to continue to fight. Those folks who don't wanna be part of Victor White or the other people that we mentioned here today, whose families have lost loved ones, we need to just leave them alone. We don't need to keep trying to encourage them, because after all these years, they've never been there.
That's right.
We need to recruit new people. We need to dig deeper in our families and friends around us in our communities, and we need to build a more cohesive group and move forward. I think the TV program tonight, Sugartown, we're at a point now, we've gotten, Victor White standards gotten to a national stage now. So, and, we need to work on that and encourage more people to join Victor White and support each other and deal with the other issues that we have in and around the state.
And that's not the first documentary.
Yeah.
Alexandria Network did one.
Right.
That one was a little shorter, but they did one too. And I think another one is playing.
Yeah, we gotta keep fighting.
Let me say too, in terms of what Brother Ernie is speaking to, in terms of those in our community, that does not lend any support, you know, to the effort. I can deal with that if they choose not to lend any support. What I do have a problem is that when they become obstacle to progress.
Agreed.
And as long as they are allowed to become obstacles to progress, and they fear and love the white man more than he fear and love his own black people, or her own black people, with no consequences, there will be no change. I am a strong advocate, you know, that that element that exists in the black community, that betrays us, that does not lend itself to the well-being of the collective community, cannot be allowed to exist in our community without pressures from us. I'm not concerned about what white folks think about us. I think we already know that. If you don't know white people by now and their behavior, then you ain't gonna never know them.
That's right.
There is nothing in their history that tells you that you got to go around loving and trusting white people. But where you get a good human being that exercises the humanity that most human beings should be expressing, then those people are acceptable and can be dealt with. But in our community, we have elements that we don't want to deal with, because to deal with them creates a false narrative in our mind. Here you go, black on black crime again, black on black fussing again, black on black argument, black on black fighting. That scenario is what keeps us from dealing with each other as we should. The people in this room, as was stated, are a small group. It is the energy from this room that elevated this issue to a national status. It is the people in this room that created the avenues and gave the courage to Victor White's family for them to continue. Now, how is it that we're so powerful in terms of doing that, but thinking that somehow we are less powerful because the homegrown, backyard-raised Negroes that are supposed to be our leaders don't want to step up to the plate?
Thank you.
So how do we reconcile that in our mind and talk about we want progress? You will not be able to get progress in the black community unless we deal with those known defectors. And much of those defectors, yes, are in our churches. But many of us won't step up because their white Jesus won't allow them to step up. And as long as we accept that as a norm, then there will be no progress for us. So as I say, if they choose not to participate, I have no problem. But when you become an obstruction to progress and to justice for us, we need to deal with our defectors.
And they'll call them nanny tones.
We should deal with our community as a whole. I mean, period.
Right.
We got a lot of work.
Right. I personally feel that we know who some of the murderers are.
Yeah.
We need to have posters. A lot of people do Facebook. You need to be able to see who. No, I want you to see who Corporal Justin Ortiz is.
Right.
I want you to see exactly how that no good devil look. You know, we need to be able to identify them, call them out by name.
He's presently law enforcement officer at the Chittimacha
Yeah.
tribe in
Marksville.
Sharon.
All right, and when Reverend White said, oh, well, some of the church people that he knew, good friends, and they wouldn't even allow him to go to New Iberia to do something in the church, talking about the gathering and
When we
everything.
tried to organize it
Mhm.
in New Iberia.
In New Iberia.
New Iberia rejected it.
They
Right.
did Jesus the same way.
And I told him we don't
that we
necessarily
don't
need.
know what to do. And the bottom line is, it starts with self. If we had an idea and a confirmation of self-determination, we can do a lot of things within our own space. Even the Gina situation, it was several people in this room, a handful of people, that started the whole Gina situation. And then it snowballed. And then you have those that are personality strong and they just want attention. You see, and then once the momentum picks up around an issue, then we can't help, for whatever reason, to bring in those who had nothing to do with the issue in the first place and put them in charge of our plan.
And claim they ran across
Or
the finish line and they got
to
victory.
claim they're leaders because they're in office so-and-so, they're politician so-and-so, or they're the elder so-and-so in the community. But they had nothing to do with organizing the effort that is growing. So we don't want to pull the plug on those individuals from the standpoint of saying, you've been sitting down, stay sitting down. You know, we need a new mindset. We have to understand that much of why we do what we do is because we have been conditioned as a people to respond that way. Any group of people you find, no matter where you go, you're going to find that there are basically 10% of that group that are leaders, builders, creators, and doing those kinds of things for the other 90%. Out of that 90%, you have 70% become codependent with the leadership, because it's the leadership, or that 10% that creates, build, and do the kind of things innovatively, and then the 70% supports what they build. That's what we need in our community. We don't get anywhere because our 10% doesn't work like a 10%. We got a 1% building creative group of people. We got to change that 10%. You ain't got to change all black people. All black people are not willing to do what we're doing, but many of them would follow good people.
Right.
The apathy is in our community because our leadership, that 10%, has sold us out. We have no trust in them. We have to change the 10%. That means you got to quit thinking that somehow that if we vote for somebody in office, either this coming November or next November, that somehow our situation is going to change. Barack Obama was in office for 8 years. We get more hell today than before he was in office. I'm saying that there's a political relationship that we need to have with politicians. But if the politicians are not rooted in the well-being of black people, that is not a relationship we want. We need to have the politics of the people. The politics of the people will design a police force of their own, or a defense mechanism for this kind of foolishness. Our internal politics, our internal unity comes from us relating to one another. And I guarantee you, because we are the biggest consumer base in America for white people, if we work together, like we always say, you know, black folk don't take together, and they can still spend the money with white people. Well, that's because that 70% is not organized by a faulty 10% that exists among us. We don't have to change all black people. We just got to organize a new 10% that are builders, creators, warriors, fighters. They're going to set up institutions that the 70% is going to follow. The other 10% you ain't going to do nothing with anyway.
You're right about that.
You see? But you don't have to change everybody. You just got to get a new 10%. And I'm saying a new leadership. And that leadership does, if any leadership we have that's endorsed by white people, ain't no leadership for black people. Any man who says he's a man of God and he's got to go to white folks to get ordained, to be said that he's a man of God, and you're getting ordained by the devil, what kind of God he's going to give you? You see? Yeah. So we need to change that 10% and not let the European oppressors define our leadership. And that's why it is very difficult for us to organize, because the first thing we want to do is run to Representative so-and-so, Councilman so-and-so, Police Chief so-and-so.
And they all white.
And they're all in cahoots. They're all trapped in the same spider nest. And the spider that's controlling them, get them to control us.
Yeah.
You see, so when we have black on black violence in our community, it is that leadership that's going to say, why y'all getting angry? Why y'all getting angry with one white person killing another black person, and you got 5 black folks killing one another in the community? Well, that same Negro that's in the position sit down in meetings and don't even attempt to organize economically what is necessary for our economic well-being in our community. And you take poor education or no education and poor economic, that's the mama and daddy of criminal activity. So they'll never give us economic prosperity. They'll never give us the kind of relationship with the power structure that we need to uplift ourselves to change this poverty-stricken condition that's in our community. And as long as we don't concentrate on developing a new 10% leadership, then the other 70% is not gonna get any better. All we're gonna do is fight one another because we got apathy. We don't trust the leadership. Every time there isn't a meeting that I've been to where somebody is gonna say in the meeting, oh, those preachers are this and that, oh, those churches. And it is true. We got a church on every corner. We got more churches than we got business. We got more money in black churches than we can produce in any business. And we still poor. But yet nobody wants to deal with the church because Father so-and-so or Bishop so-and-so or Pastor so-and-so, Reverend so-and-so is respected.
That's right.
That's your 10% faulty leadership. And we need to destroy it. You need to destroy it by becoming wise. You see, and I think Brother Ernie said it earlier. You're in a war. You're going to have casualties in the war. You don't recognize this as a war. You don't. Now, there's one thing I want to say just clearly. Look, we discussed with Victor White. We discussed Victor White's situation. I don't want to go to another rally about the death of a young black man or young black girl and have that rally referred to as a peace rally. You got murder going on in our community. We want to go to a peace rally. You're going to a revolutionary rally. You've got to make some changes in your thinking and in your behavior. But why we say it's a peace rally? Because the white media won't cover us if we call it anything else. That's insane.
And
Why we need
the
the
white
media?
media was invited to come just to take questions from us and to cover it.
They're not.
No takers.
So the bottom line is, who's bringing the issue out for Victor White? The effort of Brother Jay and Sister Jamila and all the record keeping that she does. You know, all the sister here from Shreveport or Alexandria. Okay, and these are the people that are there. Sister Khadijah, you know, and these are the forms of media that we need to build up so we can tell our own story. And you're going to see that it's the 10% that we need to change. And quick, please, just stop all this foolishness about these so-called leaders, because we don't. And quit catching a heart attack worrying about if our vote things gonna change. The vote didn't come by the goodwill of nobody. The vote came because black people hit the streets. The voting can be a tool of progress if you had a collective idea what we were voting for. But we don't. So you got people catching a heart attack because, oh, you're not registered to vote. Who you gonna vote for?
And the problem
You're voting for the slap jaw, you're voting for the talk.
Brother Takuna, the major problem I have with all of that is tell people to blindly go out and vote without really educating them to the issues or the policies. That's insane.
Exercise your right.
I could vote for David Duke and don't know.
That's right. Exercise your right. Exercise your right to do what? To do nothing.
Right.
Know what you voting
You see?
For
So if we collectively,
to the fire.
that's right, they say all politics is local, and I believe that. Voting can be very instrumental locally for the for our community. Even when we have the numbers, we don't have anybody to vote for. You see, that's why our people don't. Then we blame our people. Oh, they don't want to go to the polls.
That's why we have to raise our leaders up, and we have to financially support our leaders, and we have to provide everything that leader that we raise up to represent us or to lead us, so that they don't have to worry about, oh my, if I say this, I could lose my job, or if I say that, they won't shop at my store, or whatever the case may be. The leaders that you're talking about, I don't know, I'm not sure where they are.
Right here.
But I know that we need to work on raising leaders in our community.
But you know, the deception. If you take this so-called I think, what's today? Are they in, city council meeting tonight?
Yeah, tomorrow.
Yeah, so it's so-called deconsolidation, crazy stuff.
As if it's
It's just tricks.
Yeah.
Now people, they're trying to get our people to fall for it. And yet, we got 2 black city councilmen, and the truth ain't coming out about what that really is all about. This is all about anticipation of the 2000 census. That's all it is, and manipulation that continues to reduce the effectiveness of the black vote by reconfiguring the city parish government. Now, you planned in 1996 to consolidate the city of Lafayette with the parish of Lafayette, and to do it in a progressive way that over the time, then Youngsville will join in, Carencro will join in, and eventually you have one city parish government for the whole parish. And now you want to deconsolidate, you got to ask yourself why. And when you look at population shifts and all this craziness that they're doing out there, I don't think we can win either way because of the misinformation. It's so bad, and it's convoluted to say, let's deconsolidate. Really what they want to do, they want to fully consolidate. Concentration of black people in the city. But there's so many other mechanisms that are in place, removing people from the gentrified areas that are about to be gentrified in Lafayette. Fightonville will no longer be called Fightonville. They gave it another name. Some Freetown ain't black people ain't no more. They're not all black free people anymore, from which the area was named Freetown. And then the little bacon that they're giving to Macomb Vise, it's a joke. And our people need to wake up, and our leaders, we need to get out there and educate our people. Watch what the enemy do. Whenever they do it, I'm telling you, they don't do it without a reason.
That's right.
There's a reason.
And part of the reason in this situation is that they want to geographically zone out downtown area under the auspices of a black councilman, so that they can gain a tax advantage and do some things in that area, because they can work more with the white city councilman because he's got better interests, involved. You see, and we don't know that. So here you have now you got 2 councilmen, one who's new, who's trying sincerely to catch on, but just don't know that much at this point, and the other one is he's slicker than Crisco. And this is what you're dealing with. So now when you go to the poll, who you voting for?
Crisco.
That's right. Because he's slicker than Crisco. So the other one is sincere, but he doesn't know nothing yet.
Right. We got Crisco in Alexandria too.
Oh, we getting them out of there though.
He vote for everything comes white, he vote for with the whites.
And we have a 7-man city council.
A 7-man city council.
3 of them are white. 4 of them are black. The one that we are moving, we have
Trying to get out of
he's
there.
out of there. We've gotten to the point where we see what he does. He gets up there and the vote always turns out 4-3. 4 for the white people, 3 for the black people. And we always got that one president with that damn gavel.
He's sitting there.
Sit there in that spot and vote with the white
And
people
vote-
every single time.
Vote with him every time.
Well, in New Orleans, it was the majority.
Yeah.
And black folks still didn't get served.
And they put them all out, didn't they?
Mhm.
And they re-voted. But in Alexandria, it's 4-3. All right. Now, what would you vote for? A bridge? They need to put a bridge or a dog park.
The bridge is where the children have to walk all the way around to go to school. People have to drive a country 10,000 miles to go to work. And that bridge has been out of existence for what, about 2-3 years? But then you got a dog
But
park.
then you got $160,000 dog park.
Oh, God.
Well, the dog park, now this is where the politics come into play. The dog park is being rebuilt by the mayors and everybody, them 4 votes, their little homies, they get together and say, I want to get this construction company. We're going to take their bid because I need you guys to vote this way. So the 4-3 comes into play. Now they get paid, we get a dog park.
This is what keeps us in slavery, and to have our area of town looking like what we saw in the movie tonight.
And Pastor John, you said, that whenever they do something, we need to find out exactly what it's for. It's always for a reason. So what can we do to learn the reason? And once we know the reason, how do we disseminate that information to our people?
It takes a brain trust to come together, as Brother Chikuna was explaining. But we need a critical mass of energy, which is part of our problem. In every one of our local communities, we do not have the critical mass of energies together. So people try and they fight and they get burned out. Stay on the battlefield for years and years and years, and you can't see any systemic change.
Yes, that's right.
So the first thing is to get, we have to identify what is that critical mass of energy that we need to make things move. That's number one. Right now, our failure to make things move is because we've never reached that critical mass of energy of people coming together. That's number one. Number two, then once you do, it's almost, my religiosity, this African-centered thing about not separating your sacred from your secular. You have to do that, because some people say, I help out, but I gotta go to my real job. I gotta go back on the plantation, because that which it takes to make money, to do the pattern that I live in, that we've come to live in as a people, in this white, male, European, hegemonic, Western society, it takes away from our ability to stay focused and to have sustained energy onto a task that we need to address. So it's gonna require sacrifice. There are gonna be some sacrificial lambs. Can you get them? Can you get enough of people that says, that don't have to wait until I retire or wait till I'm away from the system. I'm with you, but and we in the habit now, we tell people that we love. Look, Ron, you got the job in the city, stay away. Don't come to the meeting. If we don't want you to lose your job, you got a family.
Yeah.
Well, let me tell you something. You got a family, your children are still getting killed. You ain't doing your family no favor by staying there, stuck in that system, and preventing your energies to come to the collective need of your people. So I think it's kind of convoluted, maybe what I'm saying to you.
No, not necessarily, but I mean, we have started so many times. You can recall that when the young man got killed near Martin Luther King, we started that movement, and it was a good energy of people. And then after a few weeks, that dispersed, and then we started no guns down, no crime or no violence this week.
Right.
And that when Miss Ashley was.
Hear what I'm saying to you, Sister Martin. Unless we truly have an Afrocentric spirit and understanding of who we are, you're going to continue to have this reactionary process. Something happened in the community, we react to it. People fired up, we're going to make something happen, but we can't sustain it.
Give them 2 weeks. $10.
We can't sustain it.
Right.
So I'm telling you that unless there is a change within us to understand the nature of who we are as a people, and understand the value systems that belong to us, and how to recognize that which is upon us that don't belong to us, that we got to get it off of us. That's an antiquated way of thinking, an antiquated way of being. It causes internal conflict among us, because some of us are starting trying to be black with a European mind, and then we begin to conflict and inward fighting among ourselves. So when I say critical mass of people, I'm talking about on one accord.
Yes.
But it has to be based in Africanity.
And
I wanted to ask you real quickly, and that would be that, I promise. The Emancipation Circle.
Yeah.
Would that, you mind touching on that, and would that help identify the
Well, that was one of the movements we had with the Victor White movement
Yes.
on our week of action that we had in Lafayette. Brother Chikuna and I were trained in the Emancipation Circle, which is a program to help African American people deal with our own illness. The trauma of our history, the trauma done to our heritage has not been repaired. So this one program that was developed by the African American, the Black Psychology Association of America, and it's split off into a small group with our former president of the Black Psychology of America. They split off and call it the Healing House, who manages this program called Emancipation Circles. It is black, for black people, by black people. We don't want white people in the circle even. And because it allows us to deal with the issues that we're still dealing with. We got pro-black people who, without them even understanding how they're destructive among our own people. They're pro-black, but they're still destructive because we're still affected by the illness, the adverse effects against us. And it's so deep.
And what we have is emotional and part-time revolutionaries that is gonna fight when it's convenient. As long as they don't have to drive too far, as long as they don't have to be threatened on for employment, long as they don't have to, do more than anybody else. And that's a conditioning. That's a conditioning that we need to understand. But you also, as I said, when you go at it from that point, it seems insurmountable. But look, realistically, it takes only one match to cause a forest fire. You know,
right.
and the most effective battles that we have conducted throughout our history was started by one or two individuals.
That's right.
You see, and we have to understand that. But when you organize and you feel strongly about an issue, but you have not prepared yourself mentally, psychologically, internally, and you have to go to war, you find all kinds of excuses not to go. Well, I'm gonna catch the war next weekend. You see, or I got a sick child at home, or my car is not working the way it should. We come up with all kinds of reasons. And the thing is that's gonna continually happen. The problem I have is that when we get into a meeting, we don't want to identify those individuals, and we allow those individuals to be leaders, and we allow those individuals to have a prominent role in what to do next. And that's where we lose out. That's why those who are really solid and really looking to follow and are strong black men and women, but are not necessarily vocal, they just don't come anymore. They say same old, and they stay home. And that's why I said, then we turn and we say to our people, you see, that's why we ain't got nothing, because we don't stick together.
Yes.
So when you got so many black folks who look at our so-called leadership now and tell you what short road to go to hell when you ask them to vote, we don't say to them, why is it you don't want to vote for that person? We say, see, that's why we don't get nothing, because we don't vote. The rationale to me is that they don't have a reason to vote. Look at what black people's behavior has been. We vote for a perceived devil, a vote against a perceived devil, or a perceived God. You see? So when Duke got into the race, you remember when Duke got into the race? We went to the polls in droves. When Barack Obama was in office, he had the key to heaven. We went to the poll in droves. We haven't been since. You see, because our mentality is to either extreme. We gone because we see a devil, we got to vote against, or we gone because we see a perceived God. We have to have a more grassroots, practical, informed pattern of thinking in terms of what our politics should be, what our strength should be. That's going to address your economic, your political, your cultural, and your social status in the community in which you build. But you see, we don't think that way because, as Brother John has indicated, we're so reactionary and we're thinking and we're looking to means that exist but not in our best interest. And that's our leadership. That's the parameter we use. So we want to organize. We don't want to organize because we're going to organize to put whoever claim to be leader in our community, who claim to be councilman. We don't organize to say these are the issues we want. We're going, regardless of what he's black, blue, green, or polka dot. We organize to say that we want to get a black man in there, a black man that white folks chose. You see, and we have no real progress and we have no real leadership. And then we get disgusted with them after 3 or 4 years, and then we vote in another. You know, and then white folks tell you, and I'm sure they do it in Alexandria too. They tell you, well, you need representation on the board. So you got 7 people on the board. and they give you one or they give you two. Don't you, I mean, just know the math. They can allow them to vote twice, they still couldn't control any issue.
That's right.
I mean, how is it that we're gonna win in that situation?
It's no win.
No.
No win.
So why concentrate on that? Why look at that meeting? We need, is only intelligent of a person to be cognizant of whatever forces that has the ability to control their environment. But we need to look at it in an intelligent way. That is not our source of progress or change. We got to be aware of that source. But at the same time, that's not your source of change.
Sister Wilma, you had something to say.
Yeah, on Tuesday, when we go to the city council meeting, what they're seeing now is things that are happening that has never ever happened before in Alexandria. Knowledge is powerful.
Yes.
We are doing our research, we are looking up everything, we're going to that city council meeting. Okay, why we have this power plant, why are you paying $800,000?
Right.
And they just all went into pieces.
They lost
They
it.
just
They
lost it.
Two questions in the city
Because
council meeting. They
we are
denied.
reading now, we're researching, okay, we know all of this. We're on the line the other night, we're Googling, finding out all this information, stuff that we're finding out that we had no idea about. We got a letter sent to the mayor, to the president of the city council. The president of the city council is the black man that votes whichever way the white people tell him to vote. Guess what? Things are happening. They're seeing these young black men. Some of them come in with the tattoos and stuff, but they're very intelligent. They're asking good questions, and they are afraid because they're not used to black people knowing the facts. They're not used to us reading. They're used to us saying whatever they say, that's the way it is. But now it's a new ball game. It's a new game going on now. We're going in there and they're looking at more and more of us coming in, and we coming in with a purpose, and you're not gonna do anything to us, and you're not gonna tell us anything,
Right.
because we are doing our homework, we're doing our research, we know everything that you're doing, and we're coming after you.
That goes back
Keeping them
to our on a nightly basis. We missed tonight's show, but on a nightly basis, every night at 8 p.m., we get on Facebook Live. It's the two old ladies on the couch.
Yeah, we're the
my
two
mom.
ladies on the couch.
Yeah. And sometimes I'll pop in. I'm production. I won't say my name, but I'm on production. I'll pop in and I come out with little factoids. What we've done is night after night, we've uncovered things we've had in the agenda. The Alexandria Housing Authority is being railroaded because our mayor won't install the necessary people in the place to actually get our housing development in order. We have the DG Hunter plant where the mayor has contractually obligated $800,000 a month.
To run a plant.
That doesn't even work.
Doesn't even work.
They only fired up if they need to.
That's right.
Then those two questions that we asked at the city council meeting was, one question was, do we get electricity from Quico? Quico is the Central Louisiana Electric Company. That's out of Pineville. It's on the other side of the river.
Oh.
One of them said yes. The other one said no. That showed a chink in their armor right there. Because neither one of y'all know what's really going on. The one that said yes was correct. The one that said no had to come back and rectify itself before the end of that meeting. So we-
And then he rectified it from himself.
Oh yeah, that's because our mayor has a direct connect to our city council. So he's watching upstairs, and if they say something or need to say something, he'll text them and let them know. See, we're breaking down a barrier that's never been touched before. And so when I say that we are really changing the tide, that information is powerful.
Yes.
And when you start telling people how this agenda item directly affects your neighborhood,
And
it
your
scares the hell out of
utility
them.
bill.
And when you tell them that that we have black businesses willing to help other black people, but we have a city council or a mayor that jumps in the way and gets his people to put injunctions on that move because that's a black owner of a black business, and nobody really, all you hear is the politics side. You don't really hear the facts about it. And people hear the facts and are like, oh, that's what's really going on? Yeah, the guy you voted for, that's the one that's behind this. Cause y'all, but I swear it works everywhere. All you gotta do is tell, you gotta be involved. You have to know the information. And all you have to do is tell them. And you tell them, and it'll scare the hell out of them because it's the truth. And it's gonna, when you make enemies of what we do,
And we, all you got to say to really get them is, we want a state audit.
you say something about an audit, they running for their
They
heels.
running scared
They
now.
running scared.
Okay, in closing, we wanna thank,
Yeah.
we wanna thank everybody for participating. We've got to, get out of here, even though we're the tax-paying citizen of, AOC, we got to leave. But I also wanted to say something really quick, that you notice the white eye of privilege. Whereas the coroner came in with what, the coroner backed up the police officer.
Yeah.
Then the other big white entity, the state trooper, backed up the coroner, you know, and then you come back and they all backed up each other. You know, that's white power, that's white,
That's put together.
that's white privilege. That's the type of corruption that we've always stated, that have always existed here in our area in Liberia. And another thing that the documentary left out, did you see that a wad of money?
Yes.
They had
Out of his pocket.
out of his
I saw
pocket.
that.
Them no good suckers had said that he didn't have no money. He had
They say he had
Chips. I'm pretty sure he had chips.
he had
No, he had did his income tax or something.
no, he had done his income tax and he was gonna buy, looking to buy a car, looking to buy a car and stuff like that. And when Mr. White requested the money, they lied blatantly again, saying that, oh, he didn't have no money. Then finally they found $300. But where was the rest of his money? Yeah, $1,500. You see, it didn't say that. So we want to thank everybody. We got to get out of here.
Thank you.
We have ladies that will be escorted by gentlemen and everything. Oh, a Harambe circle. When you start. Oh, that's where we all get together, trying to like break it out like either male or female, but we all. Harambe, Harambe, two, Harambe, Harambe, Harambe,
Hold it on this one. Harambe.
Harambe.